So let's have a look at this one. We've got what looks quite awkward, but all we've got to do is bear in mind we're dividing by something. So if I'm dividing by a number or I'm divided by a whole term, what do? Multiply by it to get it to up the top on the other side. So I'm going to do that. And also, at some point, I'm going to have to worry about the fact that that's a square root of x, so I'm likely to have to square at some point to get rid of that. So, well, let's not worry about that at the moment. Let's just start off by multiplying both sides by that term that's underneath. So multiply both sides by 1 minus the square root of x, and I get that 3 times the square root of x equals minus 6 times 1 minus the square root of x. So I've effectively brought the 1 minus the square root of x up to the top on the other side. Now that automatically looks a lot better because yes, that's a good thing to remember. Whatever's at the bottom, if you multiply both sides by that whole thing, it will go up to the top on the other side. Not forgetting, of course, as when we had an example, if I had more than one term, I have to multiply every term by that thing, not just once. Okay? So now I've got a choice. I can either multiply out the bracket, minus 6 times 1 and minus 6 times minus the square root of x, or I could divide both sides by minus 6. I'm going to choose to do that. Divide both sides by minus 6. I get 3 over minus 6 is minus a half. Yeah, all right, then let's think again about that, okay? I mean, it will work, but let's try and avoid fractions. That would just introduce another fraction. So multiply out the brackets. Square root of x, 3 times the square root of x equals minus 6 times 1 is minus 6. Minus 6 times minus root x plus 6 times the square root of x. Now, I want to get all terms involving the square root of x on the same side. So, I'm going to subtract 3 root x from both sides. So I'll write down what I'm going to do here. Subtract 3 root x from both sides. That means 3 root x minus 3 root x is nothing on the left-hand side, equals minus 6 plus 6 root x plus 3 root x. I've added 3 root x to both sides. Oh, for goodness sake. Minus 3 root x, well spotted. It's been a long day. Now, I can collect together these. It doesn't matter what these are. 6 root x minus 3 lots of root x is 3 lots of root x. So, naught equals minus 6 plus 3 lots of root x. Now, get rid of the 6 by adding 6 to both sides. 6 equals 3 times root x. I've changed my answer. Now divide both sides by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So finally, I've just got to square to get rid of that root. So squaring both sides, x equals, actually technically x equals plus or minus 4. Whenever you square a number, it could be, no, what am I saying? If I was square rooting, so the answer is 4. X equals 4. If I was square rooting, it would be plus or minus. So it looks horrible, but apart from the squaring, there's nothing there that we haven't done. It's all a case of multiplying through, adding, subtracting, dividing by both sides till you get what you want. Okay? Right, this is number 17. I'll start this one off. We won't finish this one off, but we'll start it. What do you suggest we do? Well, first step, actually, before I ask you that, is to recognise this, look. let's look at a little aside here. Somebody tell me the answer to that just by looking at it. Actually, that's not going to be, yeah, the answer's, yeah, go on then. 12 divided by 3 is 4, square root of 4 is, so the answer is 2. It turns out that that's the same as the square root of 12 divided by the square root of 3. You can separate it out like that. If you don't believe me, try it on your calculator. The square root of 12 divided by the square root of 3. Good, I'm glad somebody's going to. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you're going to get the answer too. Yeah, of course you do that. Okay, 2. So, in other words, if we've got something a fraction square rooted, we can split it and divide each square root each bit. And that's what I'm going to do here. So you just needed that bit of information. In other words, I can instantly write this as the square root of y plus 2 over the square root of y minus 2 equals a half. Now I can think about multiplying both sides by, as we were saying, Denzel, 2 to get rid of that, and multiply by that whole thing, square root of y minus 2, to get them to the top. And if you think about the book, this cross-multiplying idea, that means if we multiply both sides by 2, that 2 shifts up to that side over there, and the root y minus 2 shifts up over here. So we end up with 2 times the square root of y plus 2 equals 1 times the square root of y minus 2, or just the square root of y minus 2. Then square both sides. So that means you have to square everything on both sides. So 2 2s are 4. Y plus 2 equals y minus 2. And then we can try multiplying out that bracket on the left hand side, collecting y's, and it's the same as we've been doing before. Okay?